Hi, this is Kendra from Pencil and Pigment, and today I'm going to be drawing a leaf. So if you'd like to join me, please grab your sketchbook and let's get to drawing. I'm going to be doing a nasturtium. I have one sitting in water here. It's not the most interesting in terms of color, but it is a lot of fun in terms of shape. The flowers are absolutely beautiful. We don't have any flowering right now. They're an annual, but they keep coming back. So we've had some bloom all the way to December because we've kind of a protected microclimate around where they're planted. But this year we've removed a bunch because they were just encroaching on all the natives and trying to take over the world, which I don't mind most of the time, but it was just too excessive. So the flowers are beautiful though. They're orange, they're yellow. I've seen a couple peach ones that are really pretty. I've seen the variegated flowers. I'll throw up images as I speak. They're edible. So if you're interested in edible flowers and combining things in recipes like that, they taste kind of peppery. So not so much a dessert flower as more of a salad flower. And that's where we typically put them, is in salads. So it's round, it's fun. I could do slap bang in the middle with its stem. It's not the most interesting. I could have it at a repeating pattern. Sorry, that paper clip is making me crazy. Kind of polka dots with a label. I could have it folded. How would I do this? Okay, let me think. I could have it folded so you can see the top and the underside. Because the underside is, when we look at the leaf, the underside's a lighter color. And while it typically doesn't live folded, it is a design drawing choice. I know, my watercolor folding cup is full of all the plant matter I'm using for this challenge of things I'm keeping alive. And these are all things I picked from my yard, so it's not like I'm poaching anybody's stuff. Another idea for composition, and this is really good to help me get out of my head and warm up exercise and just be creative. It's a circle. It's a circle. I can have a hand holding it. I'm not doing the flower. I have very specific days where I do flowers, and again, I don't have one of those. I can do several. They come in different sizes as they grow. They're really long stems though. Really long stems. Probably gonna keep it pretty simple. This sketchbook is pretty simple. Partly because of time constraints, like doing a video a day, drawing in here, at least one drawing a day, and then drawing in my planner every day. It's a lot of stuff, which is totally fine, but you know your time. I'm not made of time. All right. I like this leaf. It's a good size. You can see the shadow of my fingers. You can see how thin it is. You can feel the veining is raised. It's a very smooth leaf. I will be doing a leaf later on in the month that is fuzzy, but this one is a very smooth. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna plop him down and trace around him. It's cheating. It is, but again, time is the enemy. So, I know this about me. I also know the things I have to do today. So, again, there's no right or wrong with this stuff. You know, little stem. Okay. So there is my leaf. He's a little off to the side, and that's fine. They have the middle, and then all the veins shoot out. So there is one that kind of runs along here. It's a little bit higher. Oh, you know what? Because of how I've drawn this and traced it, it's more like this. Okay, fair enough. Okay, so right about here, and there's a major vein that goes over here, and there's a major one that kind of goes over here. It's not exactly vertical, and there's one that goes over here, one over here, and one down here. And then these ones are a little lighter, a little paler. Okay, there's my leaf. Maybe I'll have, that's kind of fun. All right, make sure that stem's narrow. It's one of the things that I feel is a weakness of colored pencil, is that when I'm doing stems or things that are really, really thin, I have to have my colored pencil super, super sharp. It can't be dull to do something very fine edged, and I want to grab my pen and ink because pen and ink, I can count on the line weight to be consistent and be really, really fine and thin. All right, let's zoom in a little bit more. All right, here's my nasturtium, and I'm going to erase little bits just because I don't want it quite so dark. I don't want any of the pencil peeking through the colored pencil. Again, if you are doing this in like pen and ink, maybe you want a little pencil peeking through. Maybe you sketch yours with your colored pencil so you don't have to worry about going back over it. I find that when I'm in a hurry, or I feel pressure to be in a hurry, pre-sketching with pencil is smarter. So, that's just me. And again, what's best is what's preference. If all you have are whatever pencil you can find in your desk or your drawer, or maybe you don't have any pencils. You can pre-sketch with one ink and then draw with another, and then you can kind of see that through that. That would be a really cool looking style. Like if you pre-sketch with a blue pen and then you pen and ink with black, and then there's a little bit of blue peeking through at different spots. That'd be really cool. It's a choice. It's all a choice. So yeah, this earth green yellowish, I'm gonna go in with this one, but we need to sharpen you. And I have my lamps on today. I am not drawing in the dark, so there's gonna be weird shadows and stuff. I apologize for that. I'm not sure, I've pulled out my pine green because this is my darker one, so I'll probably layer these a little bit. I also have gray, and gray may be the last layer I put on, we'll see. And then I have this one. This is the raw umber. I'm so sorry for the loud cars. There's a little bit of holes and things, and around the edging, it might be nice to have around the edges of the holes and some of the flaws, a little bit of this yellowish color. So those are the colors I feel like I'm going to use. Time will tell as I get into it. And this is just a fun round leaf. It's just all about the shape of these guys. And I may have ink and things on my... I've been covered in ink for days. Which isn't too big of a problem until I work in a sketchbook with paper this white, and then I'm like, shoot, because I get it everywhere. So I'm trying to be careful. I am messy with ink, it turns out. I don't mean to be. All right. Just doing the veining here. so I can kind of see the guides. And some of them are a little squiggly, and some of them are straighter, and some of them fade. They fade into the background color. So let me go in with this dark green. Just do a dark layer here. I feel like I've divided it up like a pie. I don't have this exact leaf green color, but that's okay. We'll layer till we get close enough and we'll call it good. There are huge sets of every single colored pencil by every company. The Polychromos, you can buy huge sets. The Caran Luminescence, these are the artist grade colored pencils. Prismacolor. There's a harder, light, fast. There's a bunch, and then there's a bunch of student grade. So whatever you have, you know, you get as close as you can, and then yeah, call it good. I'm not asking you for this project to rush out and bring a bag of botanicals and color match them all specifically. You've got to get good at color blending and making colors. I know some companies divide some of their stuff out, like you can buy landscape sets, you can buy botanical sets. I know that's true for like watercolor pencils, especially the higher end ones. They kind of have them already divided out depending on what you do more of. I've done that before. So my Richson Soft hand rolled pastels are like a landscape set. Probably not the wisest choice for me since I don't do a lot of landscapes. And it's missing stuff. So I would lean more towards primary sets, and then you can layer to color match over something specific. Again, we've established that my purchase choices are lacking. For those of you new to my channel, in 2022 I did a no-buy art supply, and I documented it every week. There's over 40 videos in that playlist. It is linked in the description box of things I realized, things I'm not doing again. I don't know. I see something and it looks amazing, or I see somebody talking about a product and I'm like, yeah, wow, and look how it worked for them, and dude, I definitely need that. No, I don't. I'm 44 years old. There's only so much I can use while I still have use of my hands. So, aging. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, there's really, especially when it comes to like watercolors, you don't need that many watercolors and you don't need that many sets. Like, unless you work big and you insist on buying teeny tiny pans for everything and you watercolor every day, it's really hard to use up watercolors. It just is. I don't have a ton of sets. I have the Schminke, the Hotline Aquarelle. I have the 36 pan set of that, plus a gold and silver, but I've used up the gold. I have a Winsor Newton Cotman that's a 12 set that I like for traveling because it's plastic. It doesn't set off airport security things. And I don't have to worry about it if things get lost or damaged because it was really budget. It was like $20 US. And then I created my own that are granulating. With the granulation tubes, I created a pan set, and then I have some one-offs. I have a couple Gansai Tambi left from an old set. Yeah, I can't possibly use it all in this lifetime. I even play favorites with colors. My Hotline Aquarelle I've had for I think 6 years, and I've replaced maybe 4 pans. When I do watercolor challenges, I go through it much quicker. But nope. Nope, nope. So that's a live and a learn, because at the end of the year I go through all the empties, everything I've used up for the year, and it really is such a highlighting thing to look at all the products I've used up and go, okay, so this is what I use in a year when I work in this size, when I do this amount of projects, when I fill this many sketchbooks of this size. It just isn't the quantity you think it's going to be. And most of the time it's just pens. Yeah, because they just wear out faster, they lose ink faster. I've had one break on me, so you always run into that too. It's just a lot harder to use up watercolor, especially if you're only doing like A5 size. And then if you don't fill the background with a ton of, if you don't do background for it, you know, it's hard when you're doing like a watercolor challenge, 30-day watercolor challenge. I recently sort of purchased a hair dryer for drying times and stuff, especially when painting in the winter. But I'm losing my train of thought here. When watercoloring and doing it every single day, you have to decide what the most important factors are. And I've done an A4 for a watercolor challenge, a 30-day watercolor challenge, and I just can't fill the whole page. I just don't have time when the subject matter can take like 3 hours. So there's that, you know. All right, now I'm gonna go in with this lighter green. Okay. So, yeah, trying to come to terms with seeing what people have like of their art supplies, and people talk about them as a collection. I use that word once in a while. I don't really like that word because it just has weird implications. We're not collecting. I mean, companies would love us to be collectors because then we buy more than we need. And maybe they're marketing it that way and people are doing haul videos that way. But they're really supplies, they're tools. They're things to be used and used up. So while they look beautiful brand new, it's doing them a great disservice when they just sit there, you know? And I've got some sketchbooks just sitting there. I've got things just sitting. And that doesn't sit right with me. And again, I can only do so much in a day, in a month. 2025, I'm going to go back to drawing challenges. So if you want to follow along, play along, create along with me, I'm going to use up every single sketchbook I own. I'm going to try. I'm absolutely going to try. I have some bigger A4s that it takes about 2 drawing challenges to fill one of those. So it'll take 2 months to fill each one. And dry media is the preferred media since they're old Lecterms like this one. I know, I went Lecterm crazy. This is what happened. Can I tell you a story? This is what happened. I was on Pinterest, and I love Pinterest because it's creative, it's inspiring, it's motivating, it has good reference pictures. Like, Pinterest is just a ton of fun, and I've been on Pinterest for years. I was on there and I was just looking at sketchbooks because we know my biggest temptation is that. It's paper. It's the surface. And I love weird and unique sketchbooks. I love them all so much. I can't even. And then people make their own and I'm like, oh, I want to be like them when I grow up. So I was looking at sketchbooks and this one popped up that was like bright lime green. And I was like, heck yes, I love lime green. You never see lime green sketchbooks. They're always like black or white or gray. Which is fine. Those are safer colors, and I get for marketing and purchasing things that's you've got to go with what sells, okay? I get it. But a lime green sketchbook, heck yes. So I went to Lecterm's specific web page, and they had lime green and they had bright yellow, and I was like, oh my God, yes. I want one, an A4, an A5, an A6. I want all the things. And I pinned them and I saved them and I waited. I waited like, I don't know, 6 months. I don't know what I was doing, but oh, I know what we were doing. We were renovating our house. We were renovating our house and we had a puppy and we pulled the kids out to homeschool. So I was a little busy and distracted. In time, forgive me. And when I went back to their webpage, they were sold out of everything. And it said they were discontinuing it all. And I was like, what are you talking about? And they were already sold out of a lot of the super fun colors that I was obsessed with in all the sizes. So I ended up snatching a bunch of A4s that were, I don't know, they're sort of a brighter blue. They're a really pretty blue. They're not that denim. That's a very placating color. It's a safe blue. I'm not interested in safe blues. I liked that their colors were weird. I liked that they were unapologetic. I liked that they were the only company doing it. I just liked that it was bright and beautiful and obnoxious. And they were all out of everything in A5. And then I looked and they had some A6s. So I purchased all the ones in A6. I got the lime green, I got this olive green, I got a blue, I got an orange, I got a yellow, I got a purple. All the A6s. Keep in mind, I had never used this paper before. I didn't know anything about this paper. Again, not making a smart choice. Because you don't buy one in every single color if you've never used the paper before and you don't know its limitations and its strengths. I didn't know anything about the paper, except it was 180 GSM and it looked like a bright white. That's it. Okay. Not the best information to go off of. And they were really late in shipping my order. It's okay, I forgive you, I'm not mad. They threw in an A5 that was yellow of their new line, the 150 GSM. So I have one of those. And I've done a couple, I did like a page test in there and I did a charcoal in there and then I set it aside because it was a free one. It wasn't one I picked out, so I didn't have a plan for it. So it's still sitting in my shelf needing to be used. And maybe I'll use it for a charcoal thing. But I love the bright yellow. It's so obnoxious. Oh, it's lovely. I love it unapologetic. So I'm gonna go in with an even darker, harder pressure. Okay, I need this to match. So I have all these huge A4s, I have all these tiny A6s, and then I started working in them, and I love colored pencil in them. Ink is fine. There is no tooth to this paper. There is no texture. So doing charcoal, they get sprayed and there's still a lot of transfer. These are things to be mindful of. It's why, like, when the pandemic hit and people were trying to figure out how to buy sketchbooks without touching the paper, that's really hard to do. And I get it. I have a few videos comparing and showing what pen and ink look like on different pages and if there's ghosting and bleed through. Those kind of videos help a ton. But I realized in doing those videos, I have to have a huge inventory of supplies and keep buying things to keep testing the pages. And I can't use them faster than I would need to buy them. So if I could only go through, 12 to 14 sketchbooks a year, and this is a highly productive year, not every year is like that year. But I want to do a video a week. I'm not buying 50 sketchbooks. Like there's no way. And then, I've limited myself to one cabinet for my art supplies to be mindful of my space. But I realized in doing my no-buy that I really need to purchase sketchbooks that can handle wet and dry media. I want the freedom to do both, which is why I purchased that huge roll. I have a Strathmore 500 series mixed media. I have a huge roll of that. And that can handle watercolor, and it can handle colored pencil, and it can handle pen and ink. And it is a thinner page. If you were doing commissions and stuff, I wouldn't use that paper. It's just too thin and lightweight. It's not very professional, I don't think. for professional commissions and stuff. If you're doing like a watercolor commission, yeah, grab the Arches. Arches 140 or go heavier. I have the thick Arches, which makes a really, really nice commission and gift. It's the teal one. Anyway, I like that paper. It comes in a hardbound, it comes in a softbound. My March of the Robots is that paper. That's how I learned about that paper, and I was trying all the things. So I have 3 layers on that paper. I have the watercolor, and I put color pencil on top, and I have ink on top of that. And there was no bleeding and no ghosting. So granted, my watercolor wasn't really wet. It wasn't soupy. I didn't leave. Sometimes I leave huge amounts of water on there, especially if I'm working with granulating watercolors. I'll leave a huge pile of like water and then touch the watercolor into the water just to get that bloom effect, just to see the granulation really, really work and spread and smear and divide out and get really strange. I did not do that with the Strathmore paper, so I don't know if it can handle all that, but it can handle regular watercolors. So I bought a huge roll. And I've done several projects with it. I did a sketchbook recently with it. I cut cards. I make people birthday cards. It's kind of my gift to them, is a original piece of art that is a card. And they can choose to frame it or whatever. So I like that paper. I like that paper a lot. If it was just if they made another one that was just a little thicker, that would probably be the only and last paper I buy. Even though their sketchbooks kind of have that burgundy color cover, it's like not my favorite color. I know. Like, well, paint it then. I should. The softbound's weird. The softbound Strathmore 500. It's like a, not foamy, but it definitely, you can stick your fingernail in it and there's a leftover fingernail mark. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, it's such a weird material that any ding or scratch is permanently in the cover. So, and I like softbound. I like softbound a lot. I don't know, I like the foldiness of it. Like, I feel like I can open it really wide and really stretch it. And my first choice is always softbound. My second choice would be hardbound. My last and final choice would be ring. Having a ring sketchbook. I know that Arches makes like a field sketchbook now with their 140 GSM watercolor paper, and it's a ring. I've seen it. I know it exists. I know that sounds like a ton of fun. Yet I'm going with an even heavier pressure now. I'm just not sure. I'm not sure that's for me. Just because rings. I don't know. I just, they don't do it for me. And then you think of things like, I want another little vein here. Have you seen those planners that have discs? Like, what are you talking about? No one knows. They're like, they're disc. They have like little discs that go into the spine. The discs come in all kinds of weird and wonderful colors. I can't with those either. Like those, no discs. I don't like anything that stores like that. I don't know what it is. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I like what I like. And maybe that's too finicky or picky. I don't know. When I store them, because that's what I do with my sketchbooks when I'm done, they all sort of stack up on a shelf. Rings get caught. And when I'm drawing sometimes, the page slides around because it's loose in a ring. Does that make sense? Like, I don't, oh, I want a little hole. I want little holes. I don't know what the solution is. Yeah. I definitely need to, yeah. So Strathmore, if you're watching this video, I don't know why they would be, that would be strange. Weird and Wonderful. Make a thicker 500 mixed media paper for me, please. And that'll be the last paper I ever buy. And if, and if you're taking requests, which no company is ever, let's just be for real about that, can you do Weird and Wonderful covers? Like Lecterm has really cool covers for their planners and their journals, and they kept all the weird colors for all those. Those must be like better sellers than the sketchbook colors, which is a bummer. Because again, I like bright and obnoxious. It's just, there just aren't a lot of companies doing that. And so I appreciate it when a company does do stuff like that. There's a lot of folks on Etsy, not a lot, but there's a few who bind and make their own sketchbooks with watercolor paper, with drawing paper, with mixed media paper, and they take like old books. And so they're one-off, one-of-a-kind, weird, wonderful, funky. I mean, you don't really draw on a book cover, so you just kind of keep that design as is. But those are beautiful. They're beautiful and I love them. They are a fortune for what they are just because they're handmade. So you're paying for somebody's like time and labor. And those binding is labor intensive. It just is. So the pricing makes absolute sense. It's just if I'm going through a dozen in a year, financially it doesn't make sense to purchase like that. So that's my goal for 2025, in case you're wondering. Like, what's she doing? I am going to use up all the sketchbooks I have, all the bound sketchbooks, and then, yeah, work on going through my roll, and we'll see where that gets me. And we'll see, you know, what 2026 looks like with what I have left. And maybe, because I have a $500 budget. That's the amount I set for the year, for supplies, for mediums, for surfaces, for everything. So we'll see what that gets me. Oh, and maybe, oh, I need to sharpen this for sure. Maybe 500 would get me 12 sketchbooks a year. I don't know. Those are expensive sketchbooks. I don't know. I need to do the math, and I'm not mathing right now. I'm drawing. So, I mean, ultimately, you have to decide what's right for you and what you can afford and what you want to do. I just, to me, spending $500 feels like a lot. It adds up quick. Art supplies are expensive, so it definitely adds up quick. Quicker than you think. Quicker than you were hoping. Even with sales and trying to like find things on eBay or gently used. I mean, there's no reason why you can't purchase someone else's gently used watercolor pan set. If that is something that is available. Those veins, my veins are too big. Can we, and that's not dark enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, I used to go to estate sales with my mom. We went to a few. She likes to garage sale and stuff. And I always looked for gently used art supplies. I don't want things like from the 70s that have lead or anything. But I always looked. And it never, no such luck. So people really holding on to their stuff, or they pass it to their loved ones, which makes sense, you know? It's art supplies. But I've always looked, you know? Because gently used paint still in the tube, it's still good. But I've never found, I've heard stories. I've heard stories from folks finding art supplies at garage sales and swap meets at estate sales. I have never had that luck. And now that I'm on a strict budget, I don't go to things like that because the temptation is too great. I mean, we just went to the pumpkin patch. So you will see a video at some point of the sheer amount of pumpkins we bought, and we are cooking a great many of them. 2 of them are mine. I'm gonna paint on them, acrylic paint. So I got a really, really dark green one, and I'm gonna paint some ghosts. And then I got like a pale pink one, and I'm gonna do some black cats. So, yeah. I like painting on pumpkins. I think I have a little video. I did flowers on the one last year. That was fun. And I'll find that video. I'll link it in the description box if you want to see. I know everybody carves, but the thing with our humidity and where we live is if you carve it within 7 days, it's moldy and rotten on the inside. So we literally wait till the last minute to carve the pumpkins that we're going to carve. Our kids picked out massive, huge carving pumpkins. So we'll have to wait. We'll do it on the 27th, that Sunday. And they can carve and we'll cook seeds and stuff. But that way they're still like not sagging and totally disgusting. For, you know, when Halloween hits. That's the trick. That's the trick we learned when we moved to this area. Is you wait a long time before you carve. Yep. But we got cooking pumpkins and all these different I can't. You don't take me places. And don't take me places with my husband, because my husband is a great chef and he's enthusiastic and supportive. So anything anybody wants, he's like, well, yeah. So we went pumpkin crazy, which is fine. But this is why I can't go to garage sales and estate sales, because no. Nope. That's not a thing for me. I'm really trying to get these veins as thin as possible if I can. And just do layers, 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 layers. This is a little too blue. I feel like it's a little too blue. We'll have to do a lot of blending out. It's part of this paper. It's part user error. So to get it all to blend in and look good. So I'm just going to go section by section, layer by layer. This is how it gets done. You know, pick a plant, pick a leaf, pick a flower petal, pick something, pick a branch, pick a piece of bark, do one a day, and then by the end you will have the whole thing filled out, the whole thing looking good. You will be able to see the efforts of all your work. I mean, I have on my desk, I have sticks and branches. I have botanical pieces. Things to be drawn. So I'm going to keep at this. This needs a lot of work. But you can see me building up layers and trying to get some of this to match. Again, I think it's going to need some gray over it as the final layer, just to sort of soften this a little bit. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video. My weird story time that rambled. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.